when most people create characters, they go through their movies, their DVD sets. They may go with Tom Cruise or Gene Hackman. Maybe they'll go through actors of old TV shows, sci-fi and such. And I guess for me, when I started creating characters, now I based it on high school kids. The first character was called Skullcap, and it was kind of based on was it like skeleton warriors. I'm afraid I don't have the skeleton warriors any art, and usually I would like show you imagery from the past, but I'm just going to keep it simple, a simple post in real life post today. Um, what you see here are the circus freaks, established unofficially in 1997, and here are the three of them. One is electricity, one is robotic, and the last one is plant. So the name of this one is, it used to be called Mud, but I called it the Spit Mutt or Mutt. This one is Ashcan, and the last one is Electric or Electrode, or I call them Eco, like Electro, but Eco. So those are the three characters. So this one's energy, this one's robot, this one's like a organic creature, and uh, I I always had human counterparts for these. So I used to draw comics in pencil on paper, and it wasn't until 2007 that I established them officially as published characters. I had like a poor man's copyright, and then I had official book copyright, and I have two book copyrights, I think, for this when I first established them. Now, these are sort of recreations of the people I knew in my real life. Now, Eric, you could say, is sort of the actor who played Cisco in the Flash TV show. He's kind of like has that same face, that same kind of Latino face, but he's much chunkier. He's about I don't know, like I would say 5'8", 5'9", about 200 pounds or less, maybe about 180 pounds, right? Kind of a heavy set guy, but not horribly so, not obese, um, but he was just like he would say clever things, he would sound clever, he would sound like he was a nerd in real life. The real Eric was a real comic book nerd, uh, and I got on their nerves a lot in high school. I was the annoying kid in high school. I had a lot of peer pressure group. So I met him and a guy named Moses. I changed, he had a real name, but I changed it to Moses. And he was in charge of a bank a long time ago, actually, as far back as the 2000s, 2010s. Uh, Ugliness to be ugly is to be poor and stupid. Like, that's the way he talked, you know? That is the way he looked, and that is the way he talked. And um, so if Eric was based on a guy who collected comic books and was into comic book movies and 90s sci-fi and Star Trek: The Next Generation and all this stuff, um, Moses was a guy in my high school. By the way, these two guys went to the same high school, right? And he was just kind of one of those inbred sounding motherfuckers, inbred sons of bitches, you know? So I just kind of was like, well, whatever. I mean, it's just, he was just laid back and not really, he was just simple minded, is what I'm trying to say. And lastly, this person, Ashley, I changed the last names of a lot of these characters to protect the innocent yet stupid. I don't know if she was too bright. I met her. I switched high schools because my grades were so poor. I went from an all boys high school to a public school, and I met this person. And she had that very exotic, clever face. Looking back, the faces aren't that great in detail, but the cartoon versions still hold up. And actually, all three characters are going to be the theme of the next art I'm going to put next Sunday for the Amaya Beyond art. This is all very important stuff. So, um, she's kind of like, I think she dated a big dude, like over 6 feet tall, 6'1", 6'2", muscular guy, but he looked like he was in a gang. And it's like, if she was into those kinds of guys, that's one thing, because she was hot as hell. But you don't want to be tied to gangs. And, she was like 18 or 19, going on 19, and she had a future ahead of her. So that's kind of sucks. So what I did was I took all three people and had them know each other, had them, all three people knew each other. And then the fictional characters all knew each other. And then I created this whole Circus Freaks because the original idea was that each one suffered a freak accident, and this doctor, Dr. Oro, would take the three bodies of Ashley, Eric, and Moses and transform them into creatures. And then it would take them 75 years for their bodies to completely metamorph into these creatures. And by the time they were in the future, it was like 75 years after 1995 or 96. Let's say 97, because that's when I officially started drawing them. So what's 75 years? Jesus fucking Christ, I don't even know. 1070. So like 2072, I guess. Yeah, maybe 2072. I don't even fucking know. No. Yeah. Something like that. My math is shit right now. Do I not have a calculator? Yes, I do. Hold on. Yeah, it was 2072. So that's a long time in the future, but these were the first, Ashley was the first fictional female I ever created. And these two were like the second and third males that I created in fiction. So I think the whole point I'm trying to make on this one is that when you create your protagonists, are you looking at actors? Because most people would look at actors. Now, when Superman was created, for example, we go back to Superman, and you can kind of see there's a bodybuilder in there, and also Jerry Siegel used Harold Lloyd, the silent film comedian, to do like the Clark Kent disguise and all that. But there were bodybuilders back then that had that look, that sort of classy Freddie Blassie look, the tough square jaw and the old-fashioned muscles and all that. And that's what they used for perfection. And at that time, there were no costume superheroes. You had Henry Duval, like Henry Duval the Musketeer, I think, which Jerry Siegel created. You had people with some kind of powers, clairvoyancy or electricity or something that was like H.G. Wells. But they were all based on ideal people, maybe silent film stars or people in politics or whatever. You didn't have a lot of choices. For me, I felt comfortable. Now, we have disclaimers to say that these aren't the real people, and we also have to be careful not to misrepresent people in fiction from nonfiction to fiction. So it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to come up with these characters and make them stick and make them work. The idea for the Circus Freaks was to take three people that were unrelated to each other. So, there are going to be people that say black people look alike or Mexicans look alike. As a Mexican, I can tell you there are a lot of groups of people that look alike to me, and I live in East LA, and I tell you this stuff happens. But when you look at the types of groups of Mexicans, like you'll see the nerds, and they'll blend with other people of other races, right? And then you look at the ghetto, dumb people that just they just react to everything around them that's popular. They know who Taylor Swift is. They know who the president is, maybe. They know the most popular actors like Tom Cruise or that popular show like Jenna Ortega and Wednesday, but they don't know anything else. Like Moses, like he's very basic. He's very smart. And she's more of if Ashley looked like she does, if she looked the same as she did back in the 90s, she'd be taking pictures of her ass. She'd be doing what Elizabeth Hurley does on her Instagram, right? She'd be taking pictures of her in a bikini, like I still got it, And there are some women that still got it, at 40 something. So 3 different Latinos and not Latinx. And I put them together, and that's what I came up with. And so when you're looking at people, you may have to change the names, but you keep the sort of the characterizations, the likenesses, the way they're shaped. When you're creating characters, when you're creating heroes or villains, the Circus Freaks, I wrote them in '97. They were sort of heroes to dark heroes or comic, like funny people. And then later on, when I got to creating the Outcasters in 2007 with my first published book, they became villains. In politics, but they became villains, and they were still villains. And now I'm putting them in something else where Ashley will probably be the good one, and then turns against the other two. It's kind of how it is. Also, you think of the Superman villains from the Phantom Zone. The what is it? General Zod, Ursa, and Nog, or whatever his name is. Those are the three. Like I kind of think of that. You know, you have the Bruiser, you have the beautiful woman, and then you have the leader. That's sort of what I got from that too. That and Skeleton Warriors, Doctor Cyborn and Shriek, and I forgot the guy, the ogre's name. That's what I got. So that's it for this perspective, and more to come next week.